Good evening, I'm USHAKOVA. Welcome to my channel. This channel is all about inspired living, teaching, guiding through the tools that I have, the experience I have, the education I have, the real life experience that I have in guiding individuals and groups through transformation, transformative times in their lives, and taking them from one place where they felt stuck to getting unstuck and creating their beautiful dream lives, as best as I could guide them. I am so inspired today by what I heard last night in a talk by one of the world's leading astrologers, Jessica Adams, English and Australian lady who it's just fascinating to listen to. And she spoke about how life would be for all of us in 2021, 2022, 23, and onwards. She's made many predictions, by the way, all of which have happened. The latest one to do with who would win the American presidential election. She called it well before it was officially called. And she did say that Joe Biden would be the next president. So she's someone who's quite credible and has a background that is stellar. Anyway, she talked about how our worlds will change, our individual lives will change. And as I listened to her, I realized mine had already taken that trajectory without me even knowing that I was heading in the right direction in terms of what is yet to come. First and foremost, she spoke about how this pandemic, she doesn't foresee a cure. It's like HIV. There's no cure still to this day. There's no cure. There are therapeutics, there's a vaccine, but there's no cure. So we're going to live with this pandemic for some time, and we have to learn how to navigate through it in very different ways. So for all those people, she said, who said, well, when are we going to go back to normal and how it was before? Well, we're not going back to how it was before. We're having to adapt, just the way nature adapts to its circumstances, post a tsunami and so on. We have to adapt. And I'll give you a personal story. I had to adapt because before the pandemic, I saw individual clients. I created, designed events for groups, on various topics, on topics that I wrote about. I'm a writer as well. And my website is listed below, by the way, in the description box, among other information about me. And on that website are some of my writings. So a lot of my events for groups are based on my writings. And what I thought had universal resonance. I was seeing clients face-to-face. I was creating events for groups. I was a speaker. It all went away when the pandemic came. We started sheltering in place. So I had to learn technology and that I didn't know about. Zoom, foreign language, right? YouTube, foreign language. So I had to learn self-taught Zoom technology. I had to learn about YouTube. Boy, that wasn't easy either. Marvelous teacher who taught that, and I took what I could understand and then have been just producing videos since April. There's something in these videos, something for everyone, and at least one of the videos will be for you, if not most of them, really guiding us through 2020. So 2021 is going to look like this, according to Jessica Adams. And somewhere in my core, I believe that she's absolutely right. I'm sensing it, I'm feeling it, and living it, really. She said, we'll choose where we want to live. So we have to decide. One of the most important decisions we'll all have to make is, where is it that we want to live? Because where we're going to live is where we're going to connect with the tribe that is going to be our tribe, who will be in our sort of greater bubble, so to speak. This pandemic is going to be here for a while, so we have to really be mindful about how we move about in the world. Traveling in the way that we did before is not going to be happening in 2021 in that way at all. It's going to be a long time before we can see the return to that, I imagine, but she didn't even speak about when, about that. But she said, so it's really going to become more localized. Globalization, trade, and all that. It'll really be neighboring countries that she'll be dealing with. And she talked about how it'll really be more tribal, will become more communities, you know, rather than connected all over the place, traveling all over the place. We're not going to be tourists in that way. Not to say we won't travel, but it's going to be very mindful, thoughtful, thought out. Technology is really incredibly important to where we're headed, because we're going to be learning via technology. If you take a look at students who are not going back to universities right now, not going back to school, teachers are having to mentor and teach via technology, Zoom technology and other technologies. We're going to get our education, continuing education as adults this way. You know, life is really changing in so many ways. So I won't go through everything that she spoke of. I mean, she's, you know, absolutely fascinating. But the key takeaways for me were, think globally, always be connected globally. You can do it through technology for sure. Newspapers and so on as well. You know, but live and act locally. So your tribe will become super important. We're seeing an uptick in infections all over the world because everyone started going out. We didn't want to shelter in place anymore. Of course, we want to hug, we want to kiss, we want to have that conversation, have that meet at that cafe and talk about our lives and dreams and all that. Well, we can do that, but in a very careful, selective way. And with people we've selected that we feel have the same movements as we do, whom we can trust to not be, you know, super spreaders or all over the place. You know, we have to be very careful. And even so, when we're out in the world, you never know, right? But we have to do our part, try to stay healthy and encourage good health, encourage building up our immune systems, encourage healthy thinking. So much divisiveness in the world. So really just, you know, stay on the side of what is really true, what is really authenticated, living an authentic life, your life, whatever that authenticity means to you. So life is going to be changing, and and it is changing already, we know that, but will change even more. She spoke about some countries even closing borders for a while and just dealing with their neighbors because infection rate will be so high. So there's lots of information, lots to take in. What felt so encouraging for me, what I loved about what I heard for my own life is that, oh, thank God that I don't have to roam around endless cocktail parties and, you know, show up in places that I didn't really want to show up to, you know, that I can really focus on those relationships that have heart and meaning for me. I can focus my energy and my work on the people I love, on, you know, creating the life I love on a daily basis, and you know, leaving the rest behind. I mean, think about that in your own lives. There's a lot of freedom to recreate your lives in a completely new way. You know, we don't live this life risk-free. This life is all about change. That's the only constant, really, of life. It's change. It's a very brief life. And like in this year, this transformational year of 2020, you know, those of us who are resisting the changes that we've had to make, you know, all those people who say, I'm not wearing a mask and I'm just going to party with 150 friends and, you know, like that. Well, in the end, they lose. They lose maybe their own lives. They'll lose, or some lives will be lost by, you know, those who were in that group who got COVID. And then they'll take that out into the communities and somebody else will be infected. You know, that's not living in a healthy way, that's not living in a smart way, and that's not caring for your neighbor. So 2020 has taught us that we must be our brother's keeper. We do the minimal things, the mask, the social distancing, the sort of, you know, courtesy in case we have something that we don't even know, that we don't pass it on, and vice versa. So it's about living in community in a healthy way and having a regard for your community, not being divisive, not being angry, not creating violence on the streets, all those things that are really from, you know, another era. Let's call it 2019 and earlier. We have to stop all of that. That doesn't create a beautiful world. And we're entering the age of Aquarius in December. We're on the cusp of it, which is about humanitarianism, community, and living a life that can be so glorious. So this video is meant to inspire all of us to think about, how can I create the life of my dreams? What can I do to really make 2021 a fantastic year for myself, and not be, you know, waiting for the return of 2019 or 2018, but be grateful for everything we had before. Be mindful in 2020 and thoughtful and inquisitive about what's taking place in this year, what's changing, how your life is changing, how the world is changing. You know, as you watch the news, as you read the news, you're watching the changes taking place. You know, you really are. And you'll see what is to come yet into the future. But welcome to a new world order. That's really what is coming. And it's about kindness and gratitude and checking in on your neighbors to make sure they're all right. Finding your tribe, rooted in love, rooted in care, rooted in gratitude, not slinging mud, you know, as in the post-presidential election and all those people who refused to accept the results of what was a fair, free, democratic process. Those days are gone. People who are thinking in those ways are not going to do very well in 2021 and 2022. If you stay in your anger and in, you know, untruths, and if you don't care enough about your neighbors, your community, this world, to really care about taking care of others other than yourself, I'm sorry, it's not going to be the most brilliant futures for you, because you'll be steeped in anger. You won't get anywhere. And the rest of us who want to live in a positive frame, in this very brief life that we all have, and to try to stay healthy, can dream our dreams, can learn technology a little better. You don't have to become a master at it. I certainly am not a master at it. But I started this channel. I have over 100 beautiful subscribers from all over the world. I hope to grow this channel into many, many more subscribers. So for those of you who've never subscribed to a channel on YouTube, there's a subscribe link. It's totally free. And then there's a little bell, an icon of a bell. Click that, and anything I post, you'll get an email saying I posted. You can listen and watch anytime you wish. You'll get no other emails, certainly not from me or YouTube. It's just to notify you. And I do offer coaching sessions via Zoom. I am connecting worldwide. I am growing my brand in this way. I will always have all of you in mind to live your best lives. And as I learn things, new things, because I'm always learning too, I'll share them with you. I encourage you to look at my other videos. The very early ones, production quality was not great, but it begins at a time when we first entered into this pandemic, sort of early April, and how I dealt with going out of my house to take that first walk on my own when nobody else was walking, you know, or hardly saw a soul on the streets, to where I am today, and the steps I took. And so these videos really are about life in real time. And when I talk about exquisite aging at any age, I don't mean I don't talk about plastic surgery. I don't talk about how to draw a cat eye. I leave that to the people who really know that best. I'm not, this isn't a Kardashian lifestyle channel. This exquisite aging that I'm talking about has to do with how young do you want to be until you're no longer on this earth, thinking in a youthful way, in a fresh way, in an illuminative way, in a way that goes beyond your own needs and really also cares about the needs of others. Always learning, continual learning. I think the future, as I see it, is about staying in the flow of your own life, your dreams, and learning. Continuous learning. Learning never ends. We can always learn something, and every time we do, and we embrace something that's beautiful, that we can adapt to, that's good for our lives and the lives of those around us, you know, we grow younger. I think that's what Forever Young really is all about. Don't you? I send my love.